Welcome to another episode of Gamerheads. My name is Roger, aka Rogue Leader 76, and with us today we have Jake.
Hey, Jake, Studley Omelet. That's me. Today I instead of sitting around a mic is sitting around me.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
yes.
this is gonna be a different format because we have new co-hosts. So we have with us Ben as well. Ben.
Hey, what's up?
Ben and I have been friends for a very long time. We were high school classmates. And Ben, do you remember?
Band members.
And band members, that's right. Do you remember how we first met, Ben?
I don't.
Through Sonic the
Do you?
Hedgehog. Yeah.
Oh, Sonic.
Yeah. We were talking one
Love
day and you
that
said,
game.
have you ever seen the cartoon Sonic the Hedgehog? And I said, yes.
Nice. Not the game.
It was all downhill from there.
It was all downhill from there, yeah. So Ben will be joining us going forward, and another new co-host with us. We have B.
Hi.
B, welcome.
Thank you.
And B and I met through through Twitter and through Animal Crossing of all games.
I love that we're still not played.
No, we haven't played that game.
But
Yes.
it's my fault.
So I wanted to become more involved with the community, and I saw B's post of, hey, anybody want to trade some fruit in Animal Crossing? And I said, I will, and then we haven't yet, so.
I should have said I want to trade fruit, but I won't.
In my Animal Crossing game, I have a whole section of my wardrobe dedicated to the fruit that I've collected for you.
Oh, I feel bad.
Yeah.
I need to pick it back up. All of my village is probably gone.
Probably.
Everyone's moved out. It's deserted.
And then so B, you're from England. And Ben, you're from well, you're not from Portland, but you live in Portland.
Yes.
And Jake, you are in Stevens Point with me. So B, I was going to tell you this because you're from England. So my children.
Telling her like she didn't know.
Yeah, I know. Because in case you didn't know, you're from England. My children are actually, I think, 17th or 18th cousins, half removed, of the children of Prince William. Is that who that is over there?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, my wife has, not through me, but through my wife, she has her family tree dating back all the way to William the Conqueror. So
Oh, so you can come over and get the special treatment.
that's what I'm thinking. Although we were over there in 2003, and you would think that they would have put out the red carpet for us or something, and there was nothing. Nothing. In fact, one quick funny story. We were over there, and I wanted. This is my wife and I first got engaged, and we spent 2 days in London, a week in Ireland, and then another 2 days in London. And I wanted to take her out to a nice fancy restaurant. We were in London, and there was this restaurant. I don't know the name of it, but it's like a steakhouse, and it's like the Starbucks of steakhouses because every corner has a steakhouse. I don't know the name of it, but
I'm not sure which one it is.
It's like everywhere. It seems like it's everywhere. Maybe I wasn't in England. I don't know. Maybe I'm making this up. So, but when we were over there, we sat down. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy you a nice steak dinner." And we looked at the prices, and a steak dinner was like £22, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And I turned to her and I said, How about a hamburger instead?" It was like £8 hamburger, which is like $16 at the time.
Yeah, London's very expensive. It's not my favourite place in England not by far, but beer's cheaper than food is in London, in my experience.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that was pretty.
B, my middle name is Downing, so I get
special treatment too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? What does that have to do? What does
I
that,
have
Ben?
no
I guess I
time.
missed the reference. What does that mean?
Downing
It's where
Street,
the
Parliament.
Prime Minister lives.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I don't even, I don't socialize with that type. I mean, I stay in the palaces and stuff. So.
That's beneath you.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, welcome to the podcast. And so going forward, Matt took a job. He is working in Madison now as a game developer. So we're very happy for him. But going forward, he just felt he was going to be too busy with doing that he wouldn't be able to podcast with us anymore. So I reached out to B and Ben and asked if they would be willing to be co-host with me and Jake, and they said yes. So this is the new cast of the Gamerheads podcast.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Yeah, we are too. Cool.
Yep, truly.
So we'll go into our next segment, and this segment here is what's something cool or unique, Jake, that came into your store recently, or into your collection, I guess.
Yeah, I'll do two. I gotta talk about myself a little bit, and you'll hear why. Like, usually, whatever. But at the store, it's like the time of year. So everything, like, we're getting triples of like all the classic Zeldas, and yeah, whatever retro series you can possibly think of. Basically, people are doing quick flips through rummaging and other stuff like that. Cleaning out house, moving, all types of things going on. So we're getting pounded by trade-ins actually. So it's just a good mix, honestly. I'm trying to think of like exceptionally rare items, and I can't really. Like tons of like the $60-$50 range, like Mega Man X series, Mario RPG, but like seriously in bulk. And again, like doubles, triples of these games. So it's just really exciting to finally see stuff like that again. Hopefully, by the way, it's not the repros or even like SNES classics and stuff like that, making people be like, I don't need this anymore. If it's worth money, I'll get rid of it. And we're just seeing like maybe the end of the boom. Whoa, that would be crazy. Nah, I'm just making that up, but it could happen. I don't know. You got to be wary. But what I sucked into my personal collection, I guess I haven't had a chance to even really talk to you, Roger, about it, but it's a PS3 kiosk, like
What?
a retail kiosk. Yeah.
Wow.
And it lights up, and it has like a dummy PS3 in the front glass display. I would have never known, but actually, like on the inside is where the PS3 actually is. Yeah, it's like an original fat PS3 with like some custom firmware, which actually is installed via a disc, which I still have as well. Yeah, it's just a pretty sweet console with like the original monitor and stuff like that. I'll share pictures and or a video or whatever of it, but it goes really well with the PS3 collection,
Wow.
not gonna lie.
That's so crazy. Where did you get that?
Dude, that's a crazy story too. Like, my buddy who also, like, I swear to God, I only know one other person who has a complete PS3 collection for the North American titles, and that's a dude who lives like 10 miles from me. We like work together on completing it. So, basically, he informed me that he saw this on Craigslist, which I never look at Craigslist, Facebook, Let Go, like any of that stuff. I've never like touched those things. Like I strictly go through like retailers and or like if I see a rummage sale or whatever, like I'll go to it, but I don't seek that stuff out. I just simply don't have enough time, and I can easily get sucked in. So I avoid it. Anyway, he reaches out to me and lets me know that this kiosk is up there. And immediately I'm like, I think I know who that is, because there's a dude who runs a video game store about 30 miles north of here, who owns a bunch of kiosks, including a PlayStation 3 kiosk. I've never seen the kiosk, but it was a guy from Wausau who was selling this. I called the number, and of course it's anonymous because it was on Craigslist. So he didn't have his name, and I was just like, hi. It went to his voicemail. Say, hi, this is Jake. I see that you have this for sale, and I'm kind of interested. just give me a call. And then he calls back immediately, and he said, I didn't even hear the rest of the message. I just heard, hi, this is Jake, and I immediately knew who it was. So so he just called me from his personal cell phone. He didn't even listen to the rest of the message and basically set up this meeting. Well, when I was there, a dude from Omaha, Nebraska texted him and said, I'll meet you in Madison if you'll take $500 for it, which was what he was asking for after a while of having it up, and he just really wanted to get rid of it quickly. And I brought a van there and said, I'll give you $300 and we could take care of it right now. And he was totally cool with it. He was happy to get rid of it. That was the whole point. And so I got a smoking deal on it, though I'll never get rid of it. It's really cool. But yeah, crazy, like small world kind of a story for sure.
Wow, that's so crazy.
Yep. And that's how we talk too much in Wisconsin.
So B and Ben, so Jake collects PS3. You have every North American PS3 game, right? Is that true?
I've still held out on FIFA 18
Okay.
just because I haven't seen it for less than 60, but I know I will eventually. So
Okay.
I guess I'm one game short, but yes, I have all of them.
Whoa.
Crazy impressive.
Do you guys have any collections that you guys have?
No, I mean, I don't really care for physical copies of games if I can get it digitally. I'll
Really?
do that. No, I'm one of the few people I know who doesn't really care about physical copies of games unless it's like a very special edition of something I really want,
Sure.
like the limited run games stuff. I do like their stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or I also got the Persona 5 Steelbook. I really wanted the super special edition, but I missed that one. But I would have got it if I'd been in time.
Wow. Ben, what
I
about you?
was on a Halo kick for a while.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Got the-
I think I have every Halo game except for like the latest one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And do you collect other things outside of the games itself, or do you just collect the games?
No, just the games. I just loved Halo.
Yeah.
I was on a kick. Yeah.
I think for me it's Castlevania. Like I have, I'm trying to collect every Castlevania game. I'm a huge Castlevania fan. But I do so if I'm going to buy new games, I do like the digital versions as well, because then I don't have to flip out the games. I could just keep them, just play them right there. That's the reason I like digital too. But there is something about, like, when we were kids and you had an instruction booklet and you could like page through the instruction booklet and see the artwork and you're like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. I do miss that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Even though the artwork was nothing like the game.
That's one thing about limited run, though. I guess one other cool, new, and unique thing I got that I usually wouldn't is the Munch's Odyssey of all things. The limited run for Vita. It's the collector's edition because it has that can in there, and and so it's just funny because I get it because I really appreciate the things inside of it, but I'm never gonna open it to see the stuff inside of it. So yeah,
Keep it sealed.
So B,
Yep.
B, do you have that?
I do.
Did you open up your copy?
No.
Really? So I suppose we should have like full disclosure here. So B, do you want to give a little background of we probably should have mentioned that before. But...
No, sure. I thought we had. I'm the social media community manager, and I'm also in marketing for Oddworld Inc. So I work for Oddworld.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
A lot of fun. I love it.
So and Jake did not have any inside to get that from limited.
Heck no. Full disclosure, I would have bought that no matter what. Because I'm addicted to limited run.
Cool. Thanks, Jake. All right, so then let's move into the. What are we gonna call our news segment now? Do you want to call it In Case You Care, or Gamerhead's News Flash, or I don't know. We'll call it a little bit of both. I guess we'll call it the Gamerhead's News Flash in case you care.
The Gamerhead's News Flash.
That's pretty
Do you
good.
have a jingle?
Yeah.
I feel we need a jingle for that.
B, you're on it. That's your job. You got to come up with a jingle for our Gamerhead's New Flash.
Nice.
So I have actually just one item that I'll bring up, but I know B, you had some stuff, and then Ben and Jake, if you have items too, certainly bring that up. But the one thing that I want to discuss, and actually I want to go into depth with this on another episode, but I'll just mention it here, is the Nintendo Online services. So Nintendo announced that they'll have, well, we all knew they were going to have online services, but like a little bit more details of what that's going to look like. So there'll be cloud saves, and they're also going to have not a virtual console, but they'll have, I think they announced 20 games that you'll be able to play as part of their service.
It was around there, yeah.
Yeah, like older games. And then I think the price points were like $20 for the full year, or like $4 per month or something like that. So it was pretty reasonable. And then the other thing is that you'll get discounts as well as being an online member. So what do you guys think of that? Have you guys seen anything about that Nintendo Online services at all?
I heard about it yesterday.
I personally, I'm always skeptical of like subscription-based anything. I know that's the way companies are going because it's guaranteed income, and I just don't see why. I would like to buy a game when I want to play a game and just keep it that simple. Like, I think PlayStation Now is foolish. I don't know. And I understand, like, hey, Netflix really worked out, and so other people are kind of following the mold. But I don't need to buy my shaving stuff in a monthly subscription. I don't need Nintendo products in a monthly subscription. My own personal opinion, though. And I don't have very good reasons other than I'm against the subscription model as a consumer in general.
I think for me, with being able to play online right now, obviously that will be taken away soon unless you have the subscription. With PS Plus, you get your free games every month. Having such old games as an incentive to pay to continue to play games online, I don't think that's quite enough, because I can play Mario Kart online right now, but soon I'll have to pay to do it, and I don't feel like you're being given much back.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I agree with
Wow,
that.
I didn't know that. You have to pay like that?
Yeah.
That's right, isn't it? Yeah, the ability to play multiplayer online is being taken away unless you have that subscription. I think that's right. I don't think I've got that back to front.
No, you're correct. But that's actually how all the consoles are, though, Ben. I mean, like, that's how you have to, you have Xbox Gold to be able to play online.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And PlayStation, I mean, PlayStation 3, you could have a PlayStation Plus subscription, but not have to play. I mean, that wasn't tied into your ability to play online. But when the PS4 came out, then they made the PS Plus. You would have to have the PS Plus subscription to play online with your friends.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but at the same time, I feel like their digital services already make a ton more than probably even PlayStation Plus, because they sell their own IPs at like exceptional prices compared to the rest of the market. Like, even if Sony owns God of War, which they kind of do. I mean, Santa Monica, probably not Santa Monica anymore, but whoever took it over, basically. I guess what I'm saying is like Nintendo already, by like owning most of the products that they sell digitally, and the fact that they can get away with such high prices already gives them an advantage that I don't think they need to skim off their consumers much more. And plus, they keep reselling them. Like, they immediately take off the old games and then put them on the new platform. Like, whenever they come out with one, like Wii U's, for all intents and purposes, obsolete now that the Switch came out. And that's really ridiculous to do to all the consumers who banked $300 on a new console and this and that, and basically got a watered-down version of the game that were promised at the end, Breath of the Wild. The end.
Well, and I will say this. I mean, that's the other thing I forgot to mention is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze came out. And did you guys see this? That the Wii U store took that game off the store when it came out for the Switch.
I didn't see that.
But
What?
And it was
Case
cheaper.
in point.
It was cheaper on the Wii U store. It was like, I don't know, like $20 or $30 or something like that, and it's $60 on the Switch.
Yep. But they'll buy it though. And that's why I'm like, I don't see why they pay to be able to buy that.
I know. And so B, I'm going to be devil's advocate. Not that I believe in this, but B, look at all those people buying the NES Mini Classics and the Super NES, Classic. Super NES Classic, I guess. But look at all those people buying that. Why wouldn't they be excited about the ability to be able to play these 20 classic games with part of their subscription?
I mean, this is true. Like I was saying to you earlier, we have the classic consoles. I will literally buy anything Nintendo wants to sell me.
So does that mean you will reluctantly probably pay for that service, B?
Oh, yeah. If there's something, I'm not playing anything online multiplayer right now, but if I get something that I do want to play online, definitely, yeah. I'm thinking about picking up Splatoon, so I definitely,
it's really good.
Pay for that.
B, that's a really good
we
game.
had the first one, but I've not got the second one yet. But yeah, without a doubt, I'd shell up for that.
Stardew Valley.
A strike against them, if you will. Not necessarily an end-all be-all against Nintendo.
Oh no, I mean, I don't think it's even necessarily a bad idea to charge for it because everybody does. I just think they could have had maybe a better incentive than the old games.
And I agree. I mean, and I think, and that's why I want to talk about this as a future hot topic, because I think the thing that this will just like a little teaser for this future hot topic, but I think the thing that I struggle with is, everybody's saying, well, this is Nintendo's first foray into the online services, but it's not like they don't have models out there that they could, imitate. I mean, it just seems odd to me that that's like, people come up with excuses all the time for that, and that's the part that I think bothers me about Nintendo.
The dramatic pause.
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Well, full disclosure, like my last 5 games I bought, no, more than that. Probably my last 10 games I bought have all been Nintendo games. So I mean,
no, that's why That's why I'd much rather hear the opinions of you guys, because you have rights to be critics in this case. You buy their product.
Yeah, I mean, I love Nintendo. I think I've had every console they've ever made. And maybe even there'll be some other incentives for the subscription later on. Maybe this is just what you get out of the gate.
Yeah, hopefully.
I was at my friend's house yesterday, and he has the Switch, and I played the Switch for the first time. Now I'm hooked.
Oh,
now I gotta buy it. Yeah.
What were you
playing?
It was Mario. It was just Super Mario Brothers. That's it. We were just sitting there. He goes, "Hey." I go, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, "You want to play some Mario?" I go, "Yeah, man. The kids are outside playing. Let's do this." And so he busted out the Switch, and we were playing Mario while the kids were outside for about an hour and a half. I said, "Thank you, pusher. Now I have to buy this."
I think that's.
And then that's what he was telling me about the subscription thing for a little bit about it.
I think that's the thing with the Switch. I was unsure whether I wanted it or not for quite a while, and they obviously have the models you can try out in stores, but none of them were ever working, so I kept putting it off. And then Nintendo were doing a tiny event in a shopping centre, and they had them there you could play, and I think I played for about 5 minutes, and I was like, I need one of these.
Yeah.
It's when you get to play it, you're like, I need this.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hooked after, like B said, I was hooked after 10 minutes. But an hour and a half later, I'm looking at my buddy. I was like, I hate you. It's like, what do you hate me for? Now I got to buy one of these. While the kids are outside playing, that was what I'm saying. It was pretty funny that the adults are inside video gaming while the kids are outside playing. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, what? This is good. This is actually what I want. The kids should be outside playing.
Oh, see,
and we should be inside.
That's funny that you say that, because I was actually just having this conversation with Carrington from the Real Dudes and Kyle from the Real Dudes, and I said, I've literally yelled at my kid and said, Ellie, I bought you a Pokemon game Stop playing outside and sit down and play the Pokemon game.
Fine, Dad, I'll play Pokemon.
Fine, I'll sit down and play the games. I just want to play outside. No, you're playing inside. You're playing video games. I'm such a bad parent. Or a good one. I don't know. I guess it's your point of view. B, you had some other news items?
I did. It's another Nintendo one. If I do start to talk too much about Nintendo, just pull me back, because I will. So I saw today that the Pokemon Go event, the live event, is starting next month in Germany, I think. The Pokemon Go tour.
It's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah, Go Fest. Last year I didn't go. I won't be able to go this year either, but I enjoyed very much watching it live tweeted. So they, in case you don't know, everyone kind of gathers in the same areas and they'll have a little event day. They'll have rare Pokemon that are difficult to find there. And I think they do some kind of small like event pieces as well. I just make a day out of it. But last time there was really bad connection issues. I can't remember where it was, but I know it was in a big park and nobody could get internet connection or connect to the game. The servers went down.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I'm interested to see if it's going to go any more smoothly this year. I hope so. I mean, it was really nice seeing everyone out. It was a nice day. Everyone was out looking at the phones, but they were talking to each other too. So it was so strange to see like a gathering where the point was to look at your phone, but everybody was still socializing. It was like a strange new kind of social experience.
Yeah, it's weird. B, have you played Pokemon Go?
I have. I haven't played it, to be honest, in a while, but I used to play it all the time. We actually, the first day it came out, I was out with my partner Brett and my friend Ryan. We worked together too. After work, we live in a really rural part of Leeds, and we were kind of looking at our phones on Pokemon Go trying to catch things, and we looked up and it was about 11:30 at night and we were in the middle of a field.
Oh my gosh.
And we didn't know where we were. It was muddy and it was cold. It took us a good half an hour to find our way back to civilization.
Oh my gosh.
I think that was actually the most adventure we'd had in quite a while, playing a video game.
Wow. That's crazy. Ben,
Has anyone...
Oh, go ahead, B.
I was going to say, has anyone else played it?
No, but Pokemon Go people are the worst people to hang out with. And to do stuff with.
You're trying to talk to them and they're like, wait.
I mean, like, my buddy had a buddy. We were in Seattle, and we were, like, literally, we're just going to go to Seattle. We're going to Seattle for the day. We're going to, go to some, breweries. We're going to do that. And we're walking, and I'm talking, and next thing I know, I look, I turn my head, and I'm talking to myself. Or some stranger next to me. I'm like, bro, where did you go? When he gets back, he's like, well, there was a hex I had to get down the road 5 blocks. So I just ran and got it real quick. I'm like, yeah, you were gone for like 45 minutes. What do you mean so quick?
You can see, you kind of get an overview of a few streets, or I suppose a few blocks if you're in the US, so you can see things like 3 streets away, and you do just see someone from a crowd just kind of veering off, looking at the phone, they're going to go get that Pokemon.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
It's best when you're playing with like 3 or 4 people and everybody prefers different kinds of Pokemon. Like I like poison Pokemon. I want the cute Pokemon, and I'll be playing with someone who likes a different kind of Pokemon, and one kind is on one side of town, the other is on the other. So then it turns into a 15-minute debate about which way you go first to get which Pokemon.
Jake, did you ever play
Wait a
Pokemon?
minute, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that trip to Seattle he wanted to go on was just to play Pokemon Go.
Probably.
Yeah.
I've been duped.
Yep. Jake, did you play Pokemon Go?
No, at the time, I purposefully had a phone that was incapable of playing it. I it's funny, man. Like, you know how I'm not a skeptic, but I always ask why, I guess. And it was a situation where, yeah, everybody was talking, hey, they're getting exercise and doing this. And I was just thinking, like, outside of it, though, like, once they walk around to look for Pokemon, are they going to be like, hey, this walking isn't that bad. Now I'm going to do it all the time. Like, probably not.
Yeah.
So, like, how much is it fundamentally changing America or the world, for that matter? Like, I'm just not so sure yet. And so I was a skeptic for a while. And not to say, like, oh, I was right, it fizzled out. But, like, it definitely chilled out. I kind of miss it. I'm not going to lie. I was definitely a witness to the phenomenon working at a video game store with tons of people asking how come we're not a gym, right? Is that what was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, gym.
Yep. And it's just because I was like willfully ignorant, I guess. But now I'm totally rooting for it because I see no harm in the phenomenon. To be honest, you made really good points, B, about how like it's just a fundamentally different way of socializing, but not necessarily wrong or incorrect. Just because I'm from a different generation doesn't mean that I did it better. That's. No. So, yeah, I'm totally rooting for it,
I got, when it first came out, I was playing Pokemon Go with some coworkers. And I think that the one thing that I'll remember from it was we would go down to the park, and it was always the same people down there. Like, there was tons of people. That was one thing that I was always shocked with. But this one guy, like, he was down there all the time. And I don't know what it is, but people, for whatever reason, and people have said this about me, like, weird people will come up and talk to me, just, like, feel like, hey, this is a guy I can talk to. And I don't know why that is. But this guy came up to me, and he was wearing the same t-shirt, like, every day of the week. And he said to me, I'm so glad I got paid today, because then I can spend my money on Pokemon Go. Oh, but now I don't have any more money left. He literally said that. And I was like, dude, like, is this the only shirt you own? Because I've seen you wearing the same shirt, like, every day. And I don't know why he felt it was important to tell me that. Like, he, like, stopped me. And it's like, I'm glad I got paid today so I can buy some, Poke eggs or whatever. Boy, I don't have any other money, though. Yeah, I was just like, oh, that sucks. So I just kept going. But, yeah, that was my experience with Pokemon Go.
I've seen that, too. Like, I've literally had to be, at the game store, I've literally had to be like, all right, I've got to cut you off, sir. You've had enough. You've bought too many video games. I know you get paid on Friday. Like, let's spread it out, buddy.
Was he wearing the same shirt every day you walked in?
I have a question, actually, and I don't know why. Can I just, like, ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
Like, just off topic, it just came to my head.
Yeah.
Okay, because my ADD, I'll lose it, like, in 2 seconds. So, Jake and B, do you find that there are more older people, like, especially Jake, do you find that there are people, are the average age of your customers in their 20s? Or do they range in their age? Like, who do you encounter more?
So we have a particular demographic being in between one of the largest high schools in the state and being next to a university. So we like inherently have a younger crowd. But there is our biggest spenders are definitely in their 30s, and then parents beyond that. And so when I say people in their 30s, I mean they are consumers for themselves. They might have kids too, but then again, they're buying video games for their kids and for themselves. So It's actually kind of the sleeper group is totally 30s and 40s because they also grew up with it themselves. Like, I'm only in my early 30s, and already like all the generations of video games and how they've changed in just the basically 25 years that I've been paying attention since the original NES. Like, and then of course you and Roger got like 7 or 8 years on top of that. So you got a generation on top, and it's just really fascinating to see them. It's sticking with them basically. So that's a good question actually, because most people are surprised to know it is 30s and 40s that are still, and those people are interested in the physical carts. Yep.
Because I think my B, go ahead. Do you have a range of? I mean, do you know what your range is, like the age wise?
I don't think it's as relevant as Jake's is, because I deal with the kind of social and community side of it, not with the kind of retail side. But as far as the community goes, it's a good age range. I mean, the first game came out years ago now, about 20 years ago, and we have people like my age who grew up playing that first one, and you have their parents who also were maybe my age when that came out playing that, and people are passing it on to the kids now and all the games that came after. So there's a really, really good mix there.
Yeah. My buddy and I were just talking about it, and we were, like I said, the kids were outside playing, and we were playing the video games, and it was almost like we were talking like, isn't it kind of weird how the attention span of our children is so, like, I don't know, out there, that the video games that they don't want to play for more than 5 minutes, and then they want to go outside. Like, I think that it's just, for me, I think, and maybe they're just too young. My daughter's 9 and my son is 6. So maybe that's what I'm seeing, but I don't see a lot of younger, like, when I was 10, I know I was playing video games. I know I was. But now they're not interested in that as much. And maybe that's just that age group, but I'm just not noticing a small, like 10, 11, maybe 12 and 13-year-olds are doing it, but not as much when I was at least growing up. Do you agree, Roger, or not really?
No, I agree with that, and I think part of it, and I don't know, maybe it's just my perspective now, but I think part of it is how many options kids have now for video games, and that maybe it just like overwhelms them a little bit. Like, I certainly feel overwhelmed from video games, and like. And partly is like, now I have a lot more money than I did when I was a kid, obviously. But when I was a kid,
right,
you buy one game and that's what you'd play, and you just stick with that game, right? And now,
good point.
Now it's like I have like Mario, and I'm like, ooh, new Mario came out, and then it's like, oh, Zelda, oh, I gotta buy that, and like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I don't know, I have some problem or something.
That's a funny, like, almost reciprocal kind of viewpoint too, where all of a sudden maybe it's the adults who have the shorter attention span when actually playing the video games, because it's the kids who can do round after round of Fortnite. They can do round after round of Call of Duty or Battlefield, and I could just never get as good as them because I simply cannot put that much time into it
and I think
over again.
I think the world sounds smaller when we were younger, because you'd have a handful of games that you knew were coming out in the next year, and you'd have your Mario World, or you'd have your very specific spaces and moods and days where you'd play just these few games, and now there's literally everything. And I think it's probably a lot like the Kindle. When you go on the Kindle, it's just overwhelming, and you don't know what's good, and you don't know what you want. And especially being younger, you're not going to have that kind of you're not going to have that thing that makes you play through maybe a boring first hour, or thinking this is going to get better. And it's just, if it doesn't grab you straight away, I imagine you're just going to move straight onto something else.
Yep, that's brilliant. Yep, that's really yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Yep, that's it.
All right, wrap that up.
Problem solved.
So there's no other gaming news. We covered the news.
I just think it's kind of weird. It was just the irony of it all, and it really stood out. But I think everybody was a little bit correct. I think it was the fact that Roger made a good point. We didn't have that many games come out. I mean, I remember waiting when Mike Tyson Punch-Out came out, waiting forever for that game. And then, but now you have game after game every Tuesday, every Monday or something that come. Every month there's something new that's great. And with the streaming service now, I mean, you can get it. I mean, we want that instant gratification. So I think it's going to work. I know it'll work because people want the games now. They don't want to wait they don't want to go to the store and pick it up. They don't want to visit Jake, even though he has got a great personality. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to take over at once, but it's heading in that direction.
There's total, and that's the thing. Like, that's exactly right. To acknowledge that, and then understand that there will still be a niche for collectors and other, so where like it won't be good enough for GameStop and their stockholders, but it's certainly something that I can consider for the future of gaming generations and still adapt, maybe even be able to grow in the same way Family Video did after the fall of Blockbuster.
Yep, very good. Yep.
So it's interesting to acknowledge that, and I just totally agree generally with the viewpoint that they do want it quick and fast, and they have options. Literally, they also have other options than video games. Back in the day, for us, that was the entertainment. Otherwise, 3 channels. If you were lucky and your parents paid for cable, you got more than 3 channels. But you know what I'm saying? Nowadays, there's just too much for them to do. I mean, they might not even want to play video games specific. You're right.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to say, too, and I relate this to, like, card catalogs. And when I was a kid, Ben, you'll remember this, we had card catalogs. If you want to look up a book or you want to look up an author, you had to dig through a card catalog, right? But you knew, like, who the experts were. You knew that the experts in, like, a certain, like, genre might be this writer, and you might know, like, a certain author that knew was, history, like, you'd go to this author. And then online catalog came along, and, like, everybody could be an expert. And the internet came along, and everybody could be the expert on anything, right? So now you could search, and you'd be like, wow, there's so many people that are writing all this stuff. And then it's the same thing with video games. And I don't know, B. I mean, I guess this is something that I would like hear your input on. Like, I would think it'd be so difficult. Like, as a writer back when there was card catalogs, I mean, it was easy for you to stand out as, like, I'm an expert, and you had, clout behind you. And then when online catalogs and the internet came along with just so many people out there, like, I think it's harder for people to make their name. I would assume the same thing with video games, where, back in the day where there wasn't that many options, like, you had, these studios that you knew were, like, the big heavy hitters, right? But now with just so many different options out there, and, like, so many different games and so many different avenues you can get games, how do people make their marks and say, like, I am the expert, or this is the games that,
I think it's kind of a double-edged sword in the sense that the internet is, and the way this is working now, is so good on the one hand, because if you, like, whether or not you've been to university, whether or not you've worked in whatever you do at big studios or with big names, because we have the internet now, you can literally show what you can do in about 10 seconds. If you've got that online, or you have a video link, you can just send someone that link, and suddenly you've cut out a huge lengthy process that you might not have had a chance to get through in the first place. But at the same time, because everyone has access to this now, everyone else is doing it too. So although there's so many opportunities that people wouldn't have been able to get the chance to reach before, suddenly there's obviously a whole lot more competition. So I think if you need to clinch you need to clinch what you're doing in the first 5 seconds. You need to clinch whether it's a pitch or whether it's a portfolio. If it doesn't, I think it goes back to that we want it now thing. If it doesn't strike someone straight away, the chances are, whatever it is, it's going to get passed over.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I don't know if you'd appreciate me bringing him into the mix, but I actually think of Matt when you talk.
I don't appreciate that. Can you stop talking about him, please? Just
What?
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay, goodness. Oh man, because honestly, I just wanted to actually give a shout out to him and how proud I am, because now he's into his 30s and he spent a long time kind of working for the man, but he kept to it. A lot of people have access to Unity and all that jazz, and a lot of people say I want to make video games, but they don't actually do enough to make it happen. And it is crazy. Yeah, exactly. Everything that B just said can resonate on just a lot of different levels in that sense in general. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm very proud of Matt. So.
Yep.
I've told him that several times. And you know.
Nice. Well, now I just told the world.
Now you told the world. So B, I know you had a couple other items, but I think what we'll do here, if you're okay with this, I think we'll move on to our hot topic next. If you're okay.
Oh, that's fine. I just wrote a few down. We can save them.
Okay.
It won't really be news next time, but...
All right. Well, let's now I feel bad. Let's take a break here, and when we come back, we'll get into our hot topic of this podcast. So stay tuned.
Have you ever been reading through a stack of comics and thought, hey, maybe I should see what this Arkham Asylum game is all about? Or been playing Marvel vs. Capcom and felt like you were at a real disadvantage because you didn't know who half the characters were? Well, Play Comics is the show for you. I'm Chris, and each episode, I take a look at video games based on comic book properties and how well they stick to that source material. So, whether you know the comics and want to actually learn how these games work, or know the games and want to know what the hell is going on, go check out Play Comics at playcomics.com, the Brain Trust Bros Network, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Hey, it's Carrington from Real Dudes Podcast, and with me I have some fantastic co-hosts. Guys, why don't you introduce yourselves?
This is Andrew coming to you from Lynchburg, Ohio.
This is Cody coming from you also from Ohio.
And this is Kyle coming to you straight from the armpits of West Virginia. We are an indie gaming podcast. We all share a love for games. And you can check out our show on Podbean. Just search for Real Dudes Podcast. You can also find us on iTunes, Google Play, really any of the podcasting outlets that you like to use. Again, that is Real Dudes Podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you love video games, you will love our show.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tyler.
I'm Lucas. And I'm Chris.
And we're better than Static. We meet up once a week and talk about movies, comics, and video games.
I don't want to talk about that.
Why are you complaining about all the topics I bring up? I'm trying to sound professional, Chris.
But we're not that good.
We are too good.
We may not be great, but we are better than Static.
You guys can hit up iTunes, Podbean, Google Play, and YouTube to check us out.
Remember that feeling of playing an ultra-hard video game and dying? Over and over and over? Ah! Yeah, so do we. Listen to the Controller Throwers podcast on iTunes and Google Play. And check out the live show every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time at twitch.tv/TCThrowers. The Controller Throwers, pressing start since 1985.
So you've been listening to our podcast, and you've been thinking, you know what? I can do that. Yeah, you can. You can go through Podbean, our affiliate, and you can get 1 month free by going to podbean.com/GHPC. Podbean is what we use to host our podcast as well. On Podbean, you can host your podcast, and you can publish it there. It's actually quite simple to use. Again, to get 1 month free, you can go to podbean.com/GHPC. That stands for Gamerheads Podcast. All right, thanks everyone, and back to the show. And welcome back to Gamerheads. Today we have a hot topic talking about the Lara Croft reboots. God, I can't talk today. And it's about how Lara Croft and the reboots kind of fit into the narrative of the women's movement today, and or I guess should it be part of the women's narrative, and what are some controversies around the reboots as well. So I sound very Canadian. Reboots. So B, I know this is a topic that you brought up, so do you want to kick us off and share your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I brought it up because I saw recently when the latest trailer came out, so it was a few weeks ago now, I think. I saw it go a bit viral because people were pointing out that Lara was essentially kind of a Nathan Drake type character, but now she has become something very different. And people were questioning whether it was a new trend that for a woman to be the main character in kind of a big AAA story-driven game, do they have to kind of earn their place there and kind of be... Like, Lara's been through some difficult times in the reboots, and that seems to be the whole point. I'm not saying I agree with this viewpoint, I just thought it was interesting, saying that women do tend to have to go through a lot more if they're the main character in AAA games now than a male main character will.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like a lot more, like I just want to like a lot more, like what, like in gameplay or what?
A lot more like physical and physical stress, a lot more kind of. Laura's been through kind of torture at points in these games. It's like I saw someone say why did they have to torture her when she's essentially just Nathan Drake?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and I mean, my only concern with... I don't really think that's what happened in this case, but my only concern would be female main characters in games like this turning into a kind of new spin on the tough sci-fi woman trope, which was very 2D. You know, everyone's seen the badly written female sci-fi characters. And so I'd hope it won't go the same way if this is what's going on.
From the quick bit of the trailer, what's crazy is like I saw like how they were pretty accurate in like the style that she had, and like even like some of the settings and the weaponry and like all that jazz. But yeah, like I think I'm afraid they're gonna entirely miss the point in regards to like what the game was about, you know, feel. And then you brought up somebody asking like why she was tortured, even though she's essentially a Nathan Drake. And that's yeah. I want to hear more about that. Like, why was he feeling he needed to make that argument to begin with?
I've seen quite a few people. It went a bit viral, at least on my feed. People talking about how I think it's the fact that we don't really have many big female main characters who are allowed to kind of be goofy. Yeah, like people compare Uncharted. You know, it's like you have to be super serious and kind of earn that place as the main character in that game as a woman because you're as tough as a man, and even maybe tougher because you've been through more than you might expect.
I see.
Yeah, because doesn't Nathan Drake have that kind of cockiness?
Yeah.
Han Solo, Indiana Jones type of...
Exactly. They're all very kind of similar characters, and suddenly now there's these reboots come along. It's like some people think that she's had to earn her place in there because she's a woman, and to do that they put her through so much horrible stuff and she's still standing. I think that was the point. They said that they felt like female characters had to prove they could still be standing no matter what got thrown at them, and that they shouldn't have to be portrayed that way. And I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Jake.
I was gonna just quickly say that, like, I've always taken the perspective, though, that perhaps what they were going for was more of the idea that, okay, I guess is that a woman, especially a younger woman, in the very same scenario that Nathan Drake is in, is going to have, just because she is a woman, a significantly harder time. Look at how much harder it is for Lara Croft than it is for Nathan Drake. And so I think maybe it was trying to, I guess, support the point that that women can do it. And unfortunately, though, the realism shows just how much harder it is.
That's my go-to, same as yours. It's for a very good reason. If it was for any kind of fitting into a narrative reason, I thought it was for that. And I think the counterpoint that I was seeing was people saying, well, why should it always have to be about the point that it is harder because she's a woman? Why can't she just be in there without it having to be a point?
Yeah, no, I agree with. See, that's the thing I struggle with. So I mean, the Lara Croft that I played the first Lara Croft game, and the thing that I loved about Lara Croft was the fact that she was, well, I'll swear a little bit here. She kicked ass and nothing fazed her at all. Like she was just as heroic as any other hero out there, male or female. And she just, nothing fazed her. And it was so cool to be able to play that. And then one thing that I think I struggled with playing the newer reboots of the Lara Croft game is the fact that she didn't have that inner strength. She was I was actually scared playing the game because I didn't want anything bad happening. When I played the first Lara Croft game, I wasn't afraid of anything because I didn't.
She was.
Yes, exactly. And I struggled with that too. I'm like, why do we have to reboot her to make her, I understand they're trying to be like, well, we want to make this background story of her, but why couldn't we just be that she was, inherited all this money and she was like, you know what, I'm going to kick some ass. I'm going to go around and be the Indiana Jones. I mean.
Yeah, I think that's what they were saying when they were bringing up why it's gone so dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think why not have her as a the latest Battlestar Galactica Starbuck, where she just says what she wants to say and she does what she wants to do, and it may not be the right decision, but it's the right decision that she can make at that point in time. Starbuck. Did you guys see that? I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The new.
Yeah.
That kind of female lead, I think.
Ben, it's not that new anymore.
Oh, I know, right? How old am I?
Yeah, I know. I haven't finished it. I've seen most of the series, but I'm like, oh yeah, I'll finish it sometime. I'm like, oh my god, it's 10 years old already. Anyway.
But I get it. I totally understand I get it.
Yeah.
Well, and to the people who say that, well, why do they always do that? I'm trying to think of other stories with strong female protagonists anyway,
Aloy,
and they're just not really there. What's that?
What about I think of Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn. She's a strong female character.
And is her background completely based off of being having a harder time because she's? I mean, my guess is probably not.
Well,
I'm wrong.
her background is not because she's female, it's because she's an outcast. So that's her background. She wants to find out more about her family, right? So it's not because she's a female, it's because of the society that she lives in that treats outcasts different. I mean, her adoptive father is treated the same way. But,
exactly. So I guess I'm just hard pressed to find out a story that specifically focuses on basically the sex of a person and how that might play into their hardships anyway, period. So I don't think it's always done. I don't think it's ever really been put in the spotlight. And again, that's even to say if they even wanted to look that far, Crystal Dynamics. But I mean, again, it's my interpretation, that was the point, that she's got a harder time than Nathan Drake because she is female. And I just don't see that story replicated too often, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why It's one of the few topics I've seen recently that I didn't really have an opinion on because it's like you said, it's a tricky one. Even finding a female character like that, as you said, is kind of difficult to do. And even if it was done to kind of show she's got her place as a woman amongst all the Indiana Joneses and Nathan Drakes, that was done for a good reason. But I do think it's worth mentioning purely for the sake of a story that as hopefully we start to see more female leads in these games, I do hope that it doesn't all go down that same path and all become very kind of 2D. I hope that people take inspiration from the new Lara instead of just kind of copying the format.
Yeah. It's interesting when I told my wife this was the topic that we're talking about today. She didn't play the new. She's seen the trailer for the movie for the new Tomb Raider, and she thought that looked really good. And I was telling her about in the game how there's a scene where Lara Croft has to go through like this torture scene, and it looks like she's gonna get raped as well, and that's like her first, well, this is what she had to do to get past this line to kill somebody. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's like, seems weird to me. But I was telling her about that. And then her other question she had to me, which I thought was interesting, was, well, does the new Lara Croft in the video game have the porn star body, or do they actually make her normal? I said, no, that's like the one good thing is that they actually made her like look normal and not like over exaggerated. That's like the thing that I actually enjoyed about the new games. Is the fact that I don't know, it just seems weird that that she would have a Barbie doll body in the first couple of games, but like that's one thing I think they did a good job with. The thing that I will struggle with is the fact that, I mean, having a daughter, and Ben, you probably feel the same way, is I want my daughter to play a game where you have a strong female lead, but I don't want them to see like, oh yeah, to do this, to become a hero, you have to go through like, it looks like she's gonna get raped, and I don't know, like I have a problem with that. I should have a problem with the fact that she's killing anyway. Like like I don't want my daughter playing those kind of games. And obviously at the age of 6, she's not going to be playing those games. But I want her to like Wonder Woman like is one of my favorite superheroes, is because she gets to see somebody that she got to see a hero that stands up on his own merits, not because of something that happened to her or whatever. She's she doesn't have to go through all this terrible stuff to become a hero. I don't know.
I think that's really interesting, because you've got the one hand, which is like these terrible things happen, and obviously these creators they care about this enough to talk about it and to show it. But then again, on the other hand, you also have people don't want to be constantly women don't want to be constantly reminded that this stuff happens, and that's the only way they're going to get a place as a main character in something, is if someone's tried to do something terrible like this to their female character. It's just like a constant reminder. Instead of just being there, you're there for a purpose, and it's like you said, it's not one that you would be really comfortable handing to your daughter to play.
Right.
Plus, it brings up the thought that, like, people in general probably don't want to be reminded that they're a woman or a man in general, right? Like, I hate it when the world, portrays certain standards of male, dominance or whatever. Like, I'm a 140-pound, like, nerdy dude, you know what I mean? Like, when they put those tropes out there for the same reasons, I'm sure females probably don't want to have a female character constantly be defined by their strong feminine features or whatever. Like, they probably want them to be more dynamic than that. Just something I never really thought about myself, just being a dude watching this stuff.
Well, I know we had an episode about the game. We talked about this in a past episode where the way you play a character defines who you are as a person, and I've argued the fact that doesn't define who you are, because you can't really control what the programmers have programmed in the game. You don't have 100% free will, right? But I will say that it is very disturbing. It's one thing I think it's disturbing to watch it as a movie, to watch, obviously, like a scene like getting tortured, but to play through that is even more disturbing, right? Because you feel very uncomfortable. And there's, again, you as a player have very little control over what's happening, especially in that scene. That's a cut scene, because, you know, there's only so much the developer can do. They kind of have to drive a story, and they kind of have to railroad you into a certain path or decision, right? So, I don't know. I think that's where it becomes even more difficult and more I guess more difficult just to play that as that character.
Yeah.
Fairness, that exact scenario played out in like 1997 or 8's Metal Gear Solid, you know, where we had to like endure, and granted the graphics weren't as good, but you literally had to tap the buttons almost in vain. You had to be really good at tapping that button in order to get through the torture scene. And it was pretty crazy. And again, I mean, kind of different reasons. But I guess it has been done before in the story and for those exact reasons, to push particular decisions that are made. Like literally, if you get through it or don't, it changes the ending, I believe. But yeah, just a little devil's advocate note there.
Yeah.
So I'm trying
to think of another female lead, like another female
hero. Well,
like,
so hey, I actually
like does Resident Evil count?
Yeah.
You know, what was that? What's her name? Jill. Is it Jill? Is that her name? That's her name, right?
Jill.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember her last name.
But she was a really strong female lead, and there was nothing. I don't remember. I mean, it's been forever, but I don't remember her like being overly sexualized either.
Yeah.
But she was a military. Wasn't she like in the military?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was kind of a strong. She was a strong. I mean, that was a good lead, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been forever since I played it.
See, it's
funny. Been how many?
It's funny that you say that, because when I play like online role playing games, like Elder Scrolls Online or WoW or whatever, I'll always make a female character, because I always feel like there's not enough female leads out there. Mm-hmm. So I always make a female character. And man, if you want to see what it's like to be what the gaming culture is like sometimes, play as a female character sometimes, because I get hit on so many times by men. It's unbelievable. I'm not kidding.
I think there's a law that your avatar has to match your physical.
I got proposed to, because in Elder Scrolls Online you can get married, and I got proposed to so many times, and I'm like, what the hell, man?
Though I will say though, I do think that overly sexual female characters can work very well at the same time.
Yeah,
because I know that we would talk about Lara moving on from how she's changed now. I mean, you've got Eva from Metal Gear, you've got Bayonetta. I also think they can work very well if they're done right.
Yeah, I forgot about Bayonetta. Yeah,
I love Bayonetta.
Hell, even Lollipop Chainsaw. That's pretty fun. She carries around her boyfriend's head the whole game. I mean, it's pretty sweet. One thing though also is like, here's a question I pose. How much does the story really matter when it's about a woman? And here's what I mean. Here's what I mean. For how much people are talking about maybe the relationship between Kratos and his boy, how much has culture mimicked that same conversation about Lara Croft? I'd say not even close to 10%. I'd say more people are talking about how amazing the story is and how important the story is in the newest God of War iteration than they ever did about Lara Croft and her true story. I think the critics gave it appraisal, but its actual impact to society, I don't know if video games are quite cutting it yet in that regard. I don't know how much of an impact it's actually making on society and how they think necessarily. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do think that indie games will get to the point of making an impact in society before AAA games do. And that's because I do love AAA games, but I have never really played games that have made me feel as much as indie games have.
Yeah.
I think they have less restrictions on them. They can say what they want to say. You know, they can say what they feel they need to say without having to get it, passed through a AAA studio, or without having to worry about if they've got a point to make, they can just do it.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think we'll get there much sooner with indie games than with AAA.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've often said. One thing that, you have, video games is a form of art, right? So you have music that deals with social issues and social injustice. You have paintings and art, and whatever deals with social injustice. But video games, it's like there are two. I don't want to say indie, because you're right, indie. I think there's a lot of indie developers that are dealing with social injustice, but I do feel like AAA games, they're too afraid to touch that. Right? They're afraid to piss somebody off. That we don't want to piss off this demographic, and won't tackle some of the social injustices that are in our world.
It's getting a little better. I mean, you got your like Wolfenstein 2 and the parallels with modern white supremacism. Far Cry 5 and religious zealots.
Yeah, but those games, I will argue that Wolfenstein 3D or 3D. Dude, sorry. Sorry. That was totally old school. The Wolfenstein game, they came out. That game was in development way before the rise of the white supremacists and the Nazi movement that is kind of happening now that we see. And then they just tapped into it. They're like, you want to fight Nazis, you can come play our game. I mean, same with Far Cry 5. I mean, that was way in development before the rise of, what we've seen as this new wave of white supremacy and Nazism.
Well, no, I meant more specifically about the what's his name over at the place Waco, Texas, or Jonestown.
David Koresh.
Yeah, there's David Koresh. That's totally what the character reminds me of. Those glasses, his postures, everything about it. It's totally this really deep kind of I guess critique of that, and totally in your face and out there, and just what's the difference between religion and a cult and all those kinds of things, and when is the line crossed? When is it innocent Scientology, and then when is it drinking the Kool-Aid in California with the white tennis shoes or whatever?
I think that's the best kind of way that games can tackle issues like this, because I think it's entirely fair that people use games as an escape, and I think that's what a lot of people use games for. And I think if it's going to tackle an issue, tackling one like that, which does seem so far removed from what we have day to day in our lives, I think that works so much better for a larger majority of people than it would tackling very real, seemingly real issues, very cutting very close to the core with it. I think having the more general approach is better.
True.
Yeah.
So
I also think that when you're playing the video games, there's a double-edged sword, and especially online. I mean, it's different when you're next to a person and you're playing them, and it's different when you're online. And I played Halo online with some of these people, and man, the stuff that comes out of their mouth, it's unbelievable. Whereas back in the day, you were next to your friends, and you could call them, you a-hole, whatever, when they did a move on you that killed you, right? But it never became nasty unless you got really mad and you threw your friend's controller, and you're like, hey, dude, my controller, bro. It never escalated. But now with online play, it's brutal. I mean, and these are kids. I mean, they're like 16, 17-year-old kids who are talking this way, and it's like, man, what is going on in your mom's basement?
It makes one wonder, like, how much, no matter how good a story might be, like, how much does it influence, a certain particular person? Like, are they really paying attention to the moral implications of the story for them? Yep. Like, they're just probably playing the game because, and like, yeah, of course those people are going to be missed, but I think there's a lot to be learned still for, like, average people who just, like, pay attention. Yep. And so, like, I guess maybe that falls in line with the idea of indie games attaching those ideas a little bit better, is because the people who kind of play those are looking for something more, I guess, a little more, another dimension, I guess. But I think, again, with, like, God of War and stuff recently, hopefully the story matters enough that considerate people will pay attention. Because you're right, yeah. I mean, there's a ton of gamers who, they'll play multiplayer, but then again, if it's a multiplayer game, unless it's like Destiny and stuff, there's not much of a story going down anyway.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
But still, yeah, one has to wonder how big the crowd that can be informed or willfully, attentive. Like, I really wonder how big those numbers are. Probably not for AAA games, but we'll see. Crystal Dynamics, I think, presented. Just the fact that we're talking about this right now, and whether or not the movie could maybe even justly, replicate the game, and like what the game means, I think that goes a long way. It certainly means something. It was well worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, B, do you have any final words at all?
No. I just thought it was something that I wasn't sure kind of which side of the fence I sat on with it, so I just wanted to throw it out there to see what everybody thought.
Yeah. That was a good conversation. And listeners, if you want to join in the conversation, you can. You can jump on Twitter. We're on Twitter, so it's GamerheadsPC. You can let us know what your thoughts are on this subject. You can also email us at gamerheadspodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook as well, so you can go to Gamerheads Podcast on Facebook. So it's facebook.com/gamerheadspodcast. Before we leave, then, why don't we go around and talk about what games we've been playing? And Jake, why don't we start with you?
There is this, like, Wave Racer-like game, Riptide GP, that I played 2 of them and platinumed both of them because I was for the mindless, repetitive entertainment. I'm playing God of War, which obviously everybody knows about and can have a whole episode about it, so I won't even really talk about it too much. I'm playing some of the Pixel Junk games again because there's rumors that Pixel Junk 2 will come out for limited run. So, yeah, I guess, just a good wide variety. Nothing too exciting, though, I guess, to talk about. I could really go into detail and explain that Riptide GP, but I'd rather move on to somebody else.
So you've been playing God of War, though? You like that game?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. At first, I was kind of frustrated by, like, right away, the Stranger or whatever was kind of, like, a little tough for me. Like, I died just, like, twice and was like, huh. But I put it down for a while and just came back and learned how to freaking use my shield. And now the game's fine. Plus, it's huge. It does have that problem that I might face, eventually, where I'm like, oh, I can't platinum this anytime soon. So I'll move on. And I don't know why I'm that completionist guy or whatever, but I guess I do have a complete set of PS3 games. So I have to pick my fights, right?
I have the opposite problem. I'm like, ooh, new game, I'm gonna go get this one, and then I don't ever complete any of the games that I do.
I'm definitely putting in my time, but again, the further I go, the more expansive it gets, and there's like side quests that pop up in areas that I thought were done. It's pretty expansive, but that's totally cool and unexpected, but a good piece of growth for the franchise for sure.
Nice. B, what have you been playing?
I got Plantera last night. Plantera Deluxe on the Switch. It's really good. It's the opposite of what I was expecting. It's a farming sim. So it's a pixel art, it's 2D, it's super cute. You kind of start with enough space for one crop, one bush and one tree, and obviously fruit and vegetables will grow. And you have to pick them up and fend off birds and moles and foxes, because you can get chickens and sheep and cows. But as you go on, you can expand it. And it gets huge, it gets massive, but things are constantly just falling all the time. And I spent the morning kind of hunched over my Switch, just mashing the A button, trying to pick everything up. It looks like the most relaxing. I actually bought it to play in bed while I was trying to fall asleep, and it's just the most intense game I've ever played. I'm kind of worried about my Switch buttons, to be entirely honest.
So, is it? Would you say it's a casual game or more hardcore?
It feels like it's a casual game, and then you notice you've been like bent over, bashing at your Switch for the last half an hour, and then bashing at the screen in between when you get a little bit worried about the buttons, because the touch screen works with it too.
Oh.
So I've just been alternating between hitting the screen and hitting the A button.
Nice.
Yeah. Just this constant stream of clicks.
I'm picking that game up after this podcast, so.
I love it. It's great.
Ben, what have you been playing?
Well, actually, I don't know if you saw the picture that I posted, but after I found out that Lara Croft was being brought up, I was digging through my PS2 stuff, and I found the Angel of Darkness, so I started playing that yesterday. And it's fun, man. Lara Croft is awesome in that game. I mean, and the weapons that you're able to use, I mean, she is just badass. She really is. But that's about it. Other than that, I'm so old, I'm still playing Oregon Trail. That's about it. I play Lara Croft right now. I'm doing the Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness. I'll probably pick up the Switch next payday because I'm addicted now. And by the next podcast, I'll have a review of my Switch experience. How's that?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then you can add B and I as friends on the Switch. Not that means anything. That's the problem I have with the Switch. Is like, you have a friend that popped up online. Oh, okay. Like, what am I supposed to do about that? There's like no like social aspect of it whatsoever. It's just like, you have one friend online.
I was actually on the Switch home screen the other day. I was wondering what to play, and it popped up that you come online, and Brett was just kind of like glancing at the Switch over my shoulder, and he's not had any friends out there because, as you said, there's not much point. And he was like, "What's that?" I was like, "Oh, Roger's just playing on his Switch." And he was like, "Oh, cool." Like, that's all we can do with that. That is all we can do with that information.
Pretty soon you'll get to pay $4 to have that experience.
I know, right? Like, yeah, there's
I might just start
nothing.
messaging you every time I see you. Like, I know you're playing your Switch. At least it would just give me something there. But
you can't even do that on the Switch. You can't even be like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, you can't even do that. There's like no social aspect whatsoever.
No, I meant on Twitter. I'm just gonna message you on Twitter every time I log on.
That's awesome. Nice. I've been playing my Switch as well, so I've been playing Super Mario Odyssey. I really love that game. So I never played Mario 64. So for me, this is like really, I don't know, I guess what people probably felt when they played Mario 64. I really like the Mario game, so I've been playing that, and then I started playing Stardew Valley on the Switch as well. I don't know. Ben, there's a lot of like classic games on there too. So I picked up like Namco Museum, and I don't know why, but I've been like, oh, Pac-Man. I'm gonna play Pac-Man. I don't get it. Like, I don't know why, but I find it to be fun. And I'm not like a huge Pac-Man fan, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm getting older.
are they doing, like, what games are they are they gonna have, like, Tech Mobile and all that? With the Switch, or, like, what retro games are they bringing back?
I don't know. They're not having a virtual console, so it's hard to say what kind of retro games they're gonna have.
I hope they have, like, Rogue Squadron from, like, N64. That would be sick.
Yeah, I don't think they will, though. I think what they're gonna do is save that for their, like, classic systems that they're building, and not do a virtual console anymore. That's just my guess. So that's why I picked up an N64. No, actually, I didn't pick it up.
Where's the Game Shark?
yeah, that's why I have a Game Shark. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. So let's go around before we go then and tell people how they can get a hold of us. B, why don't you start off with that?
What is? So my Twitter. Oh, is that what you?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I seen, but I thought I'd double check before I just started self-promoting out there. My Twitter's B_Wakefield, and that's the only place I really frequent online. I'm not a big Facebook girl.
Okay. Yeah. Jake is the only one that gives out his phone number. So, Jake, how can people call you?
Dude.
No, I'm just kidding, Jake. How can people get a hold of you?
I'm kind of actually, off the grid for the most part, but always on my PlayStation 4. So, great way to reach me is Studley Omelet. Feel free to ask questions, of course, to the Gamerheads PC, Twitter, and all that jazz. But Rogue Leader 76 will give you all that after Ben tells us how to get a hold of us, or you get a hold of him at the end.
Okay.
Ben, how can people reach out to you?
They could get a hold of me on Twitter. I am at Ben Surratt, SURRATT24 on Twitter. And then just type my name in on Facebook. I guess it'll look for the guy with the Cubs hat. That's me.
And you can get a hold of us on Twitter at GamerheadsPC. You can also find us on Facebook at Gamerheads Podcast. You can email us at gamerheadspodcast@gmail.com. And B, you're gonna start posting as Gamerheads as well, correct?
Yep.
Sweet. So there'll be both B and myself that will be posting stuff out there. So if you get a response, it may not just be from me now. So that's exciting for me, actually.
I'll still do nothing.
And Jake will still do nothing. You know. Any parting thoughts, guys, before we go?
I just want to say how much of a pleasure it was to meet you both, B and Ben. Like, truly, better than I could have hoped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. You guys too have had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is a blast.
This is a really good group. So I'm really excited about the future of Gamerheads. So this is really fun. All right.
We should have t-shirts.
Well, we do have a logo, and I could make t-shirts from it, which is ironic. B, our artist is actually from England as well, so we have a lot
Mick,
of
right?
Yeah, not Mick from Four Horses though. I actually have a lot of connections in England. I probably have more friends in England than I do in America.
Nice.
That's really sad now. Actually, this means I don't have a whole lot of friends. Actually.
Nice. And Gamerheads out. No,
Okay.
So if you want to be my friend, you can join me on Twitter.
Coming up next, Roger's support group.
It'll be in the extras.
But yes, we do have our logo out there. You can see us on Podbean, the GamerheadsPodcast.podbean.com. That's where our logo is, and our Gamerhead Twitter account has the logo as well. But yeah, Mick Stevenson from England did that for us. Ben and I have worked with him on comic book projects too. So Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening, and Gamerheads out. So, sorry, B.
I was going to say, I did mean that it won't be news, it will be olds. I didn't mean, well, it won't be news, but we can leave it if you want to. It sounded a bit bitchy. That wasn't the way I meant it.
I felt terrible. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. We can still talk about it, Roger, but...
Literally, it won't be...
It won't be good anymore.
It could be something we could talk about, but it won't be...
Yeah. It won't be breaking news anymore, but if you want to talk about it... I felt terrible. I was like, do you want to talk about it?